I know my players were one level higher than they were supposed to be, but god damn, Boss Skrawng was a pushover. It's a good job I roleplayed him as being all talk because, Jesus, that chunky little gremlin didn't land a single attack. Still made it out alive though. Hi, Skull here, and welcome back to the fourth campaign diary of the Abomination Vaults. We're 4 sessions in, and it's time to introduce Boss Skrawng, the first boss fight of the adventure path. As usual, before we get into this session, let's talk about the planning I did. So, rarity. Pathfinder 2e has a wonderful little rarity system in which the archetypes, ancestries, items, spells, and basically everything is marked as either common, uncommon, rare, or unique. While this can determine the power level of a piece of content, its main purpose is to enforce in world law. If something is rare, it is very likely exclusive to one region, and as such, most characters will never have heard of it or learnt it. Now, many DMs will simply ignore rarity and tell their players to just double check with them before picking anything uncommon or rare, and this is perfectly fine if you want your players to be able to build whatever they desire. I'd say it's even encouraged in some regards. However, since this is my group's first foray into Pathfinder, and many of the higher rarity features introduce more obscure game rules, my group has decided to do things a little differently. When building or leveling their character, they have access to anything that is common rarity. However, for uncommon or rare options, they must first be unlocked in game. For uncommon features in categories such as spells or items, they simply need to see them to unlock them as an option. This means if the party wants to craft a poison, such as sloughing toxin, they first need to find a vial in game. For rare options or uncommon options that require a bit more training, such as archetypes, faiths, or rare spells and items, they must be actively taught about such features. In the context of Abomination Vaults, if a player wants to learn the Drow Shootist archetype, they must ally themselves with the Drow and train with them. Most of these rules are pretty common among law abiding GMs. However, what we've decided to do takes this concept a little further and gamifies it. I am loving Pathfinder 2e and plan to spend many years to come GMing this game and its adventure paths. So, what we've decided is that when an uncommon or rare feature is unlocked, it's unlocked permanently across all of our campaigns to come. This means if the party wants to unlock Worm's Repast spell in this campaign, their characters in future campaigns will have access to those spells. For some, this concept might feel like a bit immersion breaking, and I can totally see that. However, my group seems into the idea that everything they do is providing permanent options for future characters. From my side, I hope this concept will deter them from going after any murder hobo desires, as my players actively want to pursue all their options in the hopes of unlocking an obscure new spell or learning an archetype from an unlikely ally. So far, my group has unlocked the Cosmic Caravan Faith and the Skeptic's Elixir alchemical item. I'll be sure to keep you up to date on any new content that they unlock throughout the adventure. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into session 4, and more importantly, the Boss Skrawng encounter. Before I reinitiated the conversation with Boss Skrawng, I first had to amend an oversight from last session. Between sessions, a player had brought to my attention a frustration that the game had moved on before they could voice their own plans to cross from the sinkhole room to the walkway. In hindsight, I totally understand and agree with them. When Rock had opened the door to Boss Skrawng's room, I should have paused him there to go check in with the other players, but in my excitement, I had immediately started the roleplay. As such, the session opened with May and Ornifex traversing the thin edge to join the party in the walkway. If a fight is going to break out, it's only fair to start them all together rather than making two players waste actions based on my own negligence. With everybody gathered and ready, I began roleplaying Boss Skrawng. As I mentioned last episode, I decided to roleplay him as being unintelligent and so eager to appear tough that he freely reveals information to seem clever.
And I can see that you have this most eloquent tactical map of Atari.
Ah, don't look at that. Keep your eyes on me.
Oh, sorry. I was just appreciating the artistry of it.
Well, thank you. I do it myself.
Ah, very good. Cartographer, perhaps?
No, I'm just naturally talented in that kind of thing.
Ah, I see, I see. Well, I would suggest going into the field, but I guess we have other things to talk about, don't we?
Maybe once I've taken Atari for myself. Most attempts to drop hints or be subtle went totally over his head.
Revenge is always a good story.
Okay.
I'm something of a scribe, you see. All good bosses needs a scribe on their side, to detail their actions and make sure that the histories knows of their greatness.
Really?
Yes, it's all the rage in all the popular circles.
Okay.
So you wouldn't happen to wish to explain the revenge matter?
To my surprise, my group came into this encounter immediately under the guise of surrendering. This gave the naturally timid Mitflit the confidence to make ridiculous demands of the group and speak freely about his situation.
So how would you like for this to play out? That we surrender to you and assist you in overtaking our hometown?
Oh, well, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. If you're willing to turn yourselves over and all of your equipment, and I'll kill one of you just to show how hard I am.
Mm?
Um, the rest of you can do some revenge work for me. Not quite sure what to do with these apparently very meek adventurers that had instantly surrendered to him, Boss Skrawng decided the best course of action would be to send them to kill a few Morlocks in revenge for kicking them out of their previous home. He didn't know what the Morlocks were, though, so described them as mushroom-eyed people. Well, we were below in the Gauntlet, and some stupid mushroom-eyed people came and fucked us up. And some magic priest mushroom guy who can hurt things, hurt your brain by looking at you. He killed a lot of my fellow midflits. And so we came up to the top because the mushroom-eyed people stole our territory from below. And I want them to be dead. The group tried to talk Boss Skrawng out of his bizarre requirement that he kills one of them before they go get his vengeance, but Boss Skrawng now felt overly confident in his situation and was eager to show off his might.
Now I might be out of line here. We can all be alive, including yourself, and we can just go deal with the mushroom people for you. You have your home back. No need to deal with any other bullshit.
I nod.
What would be the advantage of that? If I don't show how tough I am, how am I supposed to know
You'd
if
still
I
be
can
breathing.
trust you? You seem confused. I am the threat here. Some miscommunication quickly brought Boss Skrawng down from his high, though, as he began to feel the false control he had over the situation slipping away. I'm not on the map yet. I haven't
Oh,
taken over.
Oh, is that little rock there? Is that not the tower? Oh, my bad.
No, it's not the tower. I thought you. He kind of crawls off his throne and walks over to the map and starts pointing out things. This is the temple. This is the library. This is the log thing where you put the trees.
Oh yes. I could see that clearly.
Thank you. Our heroes continued to attempt to talk Boss Skrawng out of killing one of them, but they ended up settling on the deal that all 5 heroes can enter the Gauntlet, but only 4 can leave.
You know what would be more intimidating? Us doing as you say without killing any of us. How scary would that make you seem? You didn't even have to kill any one of us for us to do what you wanted us to.
If I may, I know you said I'm the stupid one, but if we're going to go and enact your revenge, isn't it better to have 5 people enacting revenge, not just 4?
Okay. How about we make a deal and 5 of you go down, but only 4 can come out. That way 5 of you fight the things, but then one of you still gets to die.
Yeah, I think that could be arranged, right guys?
The group agreed to this deal, surmising that they'll find a way to fake someone's death and sneak them out without notice. The group used this moment of peace to ask some questions about the Gauntlet and the glow.
Sorry, idiot here. I am being the stupid one. I'm very drawn to bright lights. I noticed there was a very beautiful one at the top of this tower. How long has that been happening for, since you've been here long enough to clearly have a foothold?
That's nothing to do with us.
I didn't say it was. Do you know who it is to do with?
You see his eyes get kind of big and he starts shaking his head. That's where the creepy, haunting thing is.
Mushroom eyes.
I don't go up there. No, not mushroom eyes. We don't go up there though. I'm scared that there might be a ghost up there, so I don't go up there. After what ended up being quite a long conversation, the party finally made a mistake that would break down communication. They scared him. While pretending to only be here for him, Boss Skrawng inquired as to how the heroes found out about him. Obviously, they had never heard of him till now, as they were here to deal with the glow, so they were required to lie. The one they went with panicked Boss Skrawng enough that he no longer felt he had any time to deal with these heroes, and a fight broke out.
Well, there was these rumors. There were some people that have been about. I don't actually know their name. It was just rumors in the tavern that there were some great and mystical force gathering here.
I believe we're not the only ones heading up here. We're just the ones who came to scout it out. There's another army, I believe, on its way. Should arrive in the next hour or two.
Oh yes, the army. We should have talked about
You
that.
are fools to reveal such knowledge. You see as he looks to his midflits. I can't be allowing you to leave then if we have to prepare for defenses. We'll deal with you nice and quickly. Rock saw the midflits preparing to rush forwards and went into a preparatory stance with his rapier, ready to lash out against the first foe to enter his striking range. May invoked her mystical flames and bolstered Rock's defense with a forbidding ward, which protected him against Boss Skrawng. Boss Skrawng cowered behind his throne and began shooting blow darts in Milo's direction. The darts went wide and disappeared into the pit beyond. One of the midflits charged forwards but hesitated before reaching the heroes and cast Bane, creating a small aura of doubt. Ornifex drew her Star Knife, a weapon associated with her faith, the Cosmic Caravan. She then blasted the Baning midflit with a critical needle darts, leaving it on death's door and hemorrhaging blood from its many wounds. Bite, the giant camel spider, pounced forward in defense of his master. It repeatedly bit at Milo, but he managed to avoid the onslaught completely. Another midflit nervously shuffled forward and fired darts towards Rock, which he easily avoided. Sesto used his connection to the First World to call forth Tiny, his beastly eidolon. Tiny roared a challenge to Bite, however the giant insect was not intimidated. Milo felt threatened and so raised his shield. He feinted an attack against Bite, but the insect remained unfazed. In a last-ditch effort, Milo lunged forwards, sweeping his blade across the insect's torso. With the defense of their beloved insects in mind, a midflit charged Milo, but failed to land its attack. Rock was ready and lashed out as it entered his range. His attack was critical, and his blade smoothly pierced the gremlin's skull. Rock turned to Boss Skrawng and called "You're next," in an attempt to demoralize the leader, but the boss was not impressed. A wounded midflit that had escaped from a previous battle with the party struck Rock with a weak dart, but his other shots missed. The mudflicker maggot in the corner of the room slowly crawled forward, eager to feast on the fresh meat. Rock flung a dagger at the bleeding midflit, stabbing it squarely in the chest and ending its life. Once again, Rock called "You're next" to Boss Skrawng, frightening the leader of the midflits. He then used his underhanded assault to sneak closer to Bite. The insect noticed his approach though, preventing Rock from striking out against it. May leapt forwards and pummeled the maggot in a flurry of quick strikes. The maggot sprayed vomit in retaliation, sickening Milo, who was caught in the spray. May then kicked the maggot squarely in the side, knocking it prone. Boss Skrawng cowered behind his throne, launching darts that all went wide due to his shaking hands. Ornifex invoked the magic of the Cosmic Caravan to fill Rock with healing energy, causing his wounds to close. Bite tore into Milo's flesh with its jaws, but he luckily knocked its following attacks away with his shield. A midflit charged at Rock and swung for his leg, attempting to knock him to the ground. Rock artfully avoided the sweep, causing the midflit to tumble to the ground itself. Sesto reinforced his eidolon with the shared magical connection they have. Tiny barreled past his teammates towards Boss Skrawng. He stumbled during the moment of impact, allowing Boss Skrawng to leap out of the way. Tiny wasn't finished though, and bit into the large midflit leader, sending sparks of lightning across his body. The sickened Milo flicked open his tome and found his lore on mudflicker maggots. He invoked the personal antithesis of the maggot and embedded his sword into the maggot's head, killing it. On his backswing, he grazed one of Bite's legs. The heavily injured midflit launched darts at Rock in panic, one hitting and one missing. It then scurried over to him, attempting to slow him down before the proficient killer could reach his boss. Rock thrust his rapier towards the prone midflit. Twice it rolled to avoid the blade, but eventually its luck ran out, and it was impaled deeply. It screamed in pain, but clung to life. May trampled the rapidly increasing corpses and kicked the prone midflit in the head, knocking it out cold. He then swept the leg of the last midflit, causing it to clatter to the ground. Boss Skrawng heaved away from the wolven eidolon, retreating to the far corner. He launched yet more darts towards Rock that he casually avoided. Ornifex ruffled her black feathers and sprayed the prone midflit with sharp raven feathers. The midflit lay dead, coated in dozens of black darts. Bite hurried to his master's defense and bit into Tiny. Sesto boosted Tiny and then ordered him to back up and charge Boss Skrawng. The Mitflit leader dived out of the way, causing Tiny to slam into the wall. Again, Tiny crunched into Boss Skrawng's flesh, racking him with lightning. Milo hurried towards Boss Skrawng, analysing his weaknesses but finding nothing of note. He thrust his blade forward but missed his target. Rock stealthed towards the isolated Mitflit leader, using Milo and Tiny as cover, before leaping out of the shadows and plunging his rapier into a critical spot. Boss Skrawng fell to his knees as blood seeped from his various wounds and begged for his life.
No, please. Please don't kill me.
Rock, how about we let this guy live?
You were going to reward us for taking out the fungi, right?
Yes.
The party agreed, under the promise that he'd leave Zatari alone. They even offered to let him return to his home below after they've dealt with the Mushroom-eyed people. I like this, as it means that Boss Skrawng can return later in the story as a shaky ally.
Yeah, as long as you don't try to attack Atari, we're fine. And once we've dealt with the mushrooms, give it a week or so, then you can probably come back, reclaim your old territory.
He flared onto the back of Bite and tried to flee through one of the windows, but Ornifex stopped him to ask some final questions. She wanted to know more about the threat that they would be facing below.
What can you tell us about the mushrooms that attacked your kingdom?
There's lots of them. They came from the Darklands. They worship the evil one. They're just very violent and hurt all my people.
Boss Skrawng refused to mention Belcora by name, but did reference her.
And the fungicide people came and took our location to worship her.
I see.
Her.
Ornifex tried to figure out who these people were worshipping, and while I did give her a few commonly worshipped Darkland gods, she didn't learn of Belcora or Nimbeloth specifically. With the last of the Mitflits dead or gone, the heroes sat down to heal while they discussed their next move.
Have we explored enough to run back to Atari?
We haven't explored the light yet.
No, but I'm just kind of scared of it. Didn't that creature say... I mean, not the creature, I meant the boss. Didn't the boss say that there was a great evil presence that came from even further below that is creating the light in the tower? I'm sure that's enough information for the town to take this seriously and handle the rest of this problem.
I'm pretty sure that he would have been scared of his own shadow, so I think it'd be worth having a look. For all we know, it could just be a candle that's up there.
They then discussed the Darklands, assuming that by below, the underneath of the Gauntlights are probably caverns of Darkland territory. With no further knowledge to find here, the party agreed to head up the lighthouse to see what's going on above. They ended up missing the door to the lighthouse though, and instead headed into Belcora's office. Milo's poor experiences with being the first in a room had left him a little nervous about opening doors, so he requested somebody else going first. Rock did the honours, and the group headed in. Ornifex noticed the shelves on the eastern wall seemed off. After giving it a closer look, she located the secret door that leads down to the servants' quarters. While she was dealing with the door, the rest of the party looted her desk and took the potions within. The group pushed the secret door open and found the staircase leading into the darkness below. To my surprise, they decided to head down and have a quick look. Rather stupidly, I wasn't expecting nor prepared for them to begin traversing the second floor yet. I've read the adventure, so I know the general layout and the events of the servants' quarters, but I haven't added their exploration results to the handy reference doc, nor familiarized myself with the after the session ended. The heroes piled into the abandoned guard post and began inspecting the room. May and Ornifex found the secret door behind the middle chair. Curiosity got the better of them, and it's through this door that they went, entering the long, dark hallway of the processional.
That looks very, very esoteric, and I'm drawn to it.
Even in the darkness of this unlit complex, the distant green light to the north attracted their attention, and Milo impatiently hurried towards it as his teammates questioned the wisdom in staying here. The ambient sounds of ghostly whispers made Milo hesitate as he reached the glowing door. The group instead decided to go through the door on the left, which led them into the punishment room. May noticed the secret door to the south, but the variety of torture devices creeped out the party enough to make them decide they probably shouldn't stay here, and they fled back to the surface. Milo ran back and grabbed the magical Morningstar from the collapsed skeleton, while Ornifex patched up Sesto. Milo tried his best to identify the Morningstar's magic, but failed. Once they were ready, the heroes moved into Belcora's sanctum. They took the ring of keys and clicked off the 2 remaining useful bronze keys. Ornifex also located the secret door that once hid behind the now destroyed tapestry. These guys are finding a lot of secret doors. Opening the secret door revealed the partially ajar entrance to Nimbleoth's shrine. Our heroes knocked aside the thief's corpse and headed in. Sesto picked up on the presence of magic here as the group pushed in towards the shrine. Ornifex attempted to recall what she could about the scenes depicted in the stained glass windows, but whatever godly figure was represented here was beyond her knowledge. She then located the secret compartment in the altar, causing the corpse lights to stir and attack. Before we get into this fight, I wanted to quickly mention that due to my players being level 2, and there being 5 of them, the thief corpse already begins this fight possessed by a 3rd corpse light. We were approaching the end of the session at this time, so I asked the players if they wanted to save this fight for next session, but they wanted to have a round or 2 this week instead. Combat is really fun in Pathfinder, so honestly, I don't blame them. Let's begin. Milo noticed the more zombified corpse of the thief rising to its feet and analysed it for weaknesses. He failed to remember anything specific, but pulled out an icon of a holy goddess to establish a personal antithesis. He then charged the zombified corpse light as he drew his sword. As Milo approached, the undead thief stretched its mouth unnaturally wide, as a blue haunting light beamed from its mouth and eyes. Milo and Rock were bathed in the light. Milo steeled himself against the void energy, but Rock was haggard by the unnatural properties of the light. He doubled over in pain, and fear took hold of him. Meanwhile, in the northern end of the room, one of the skeletal corpse lights soaked Sesto, Tiny, and May in the same void light. May's fear took over as she was blasted by the incoming void energy, while Sesto and Tiny shook off much of the effect. May sprinted towards the door, but was blocked by the zombified corpse light. She entered her stoked flame stance and launched some foxfire at the creature, which sailed past harmlessly. Rock used the chaos of the battle to sneak towards the zombified corpse light, but failed to avoid its notice. He settled for stabbing the undead weakly. Ornifex quickly scooped the items from the altar into her bag, and then ran for the exit. The second skeletal corpse light bit into Tiny's flesh, and then clawed deeply into the eidolon. Sesto screamed in pain as Tiny was dissipated, and the gnome collapsed to the ground, unconscious and dying. Sesto's connection to the living world waned as he slipped closer to death. Milo's anxiety increased as he watched Sesto fall. He rapidly thumbed through his tome, searching for any knowledge he could find on these creatures. Ignoring the panic, he found the right page in his Thaumaturge notes and identified the undead as corpse lights, an offshoot of Will-O-Wisp. He was now armed with their weaknesses and strengths, which he shouted out to his allies. He slashed into the zombified corpse, but fumbled his following strikes. The zombie lunged for Milo, and in a flurry of tooth and claw, tore the life from him, leaving him also unconscious on the shrine floor. The northern battle raged on, as a corpse light lumbered forwards and grabbed hold of Ornifex, holding her in place. It then crunched into her neck. May shoulder charged the corpse light, blocking the door, shoving it out of the way. She then quickly downed a healing potion. Rock tried to feint the undead, but the creature remained unconvinced. He swung for the corpse light but missed. Following May's lead, he took a moment to drink a healing potion, unsure how the battle would go. Ornifex showered the room in a spray of glittering holy stars. Her allies felt their wounds heal, and the undead energy weakened as the holy magic worked away at their undead hold on the corpses. Sesto and Milo's eyes snapped open. The third corpse light staggered towards Sesto's prone body and lunged for him, but Sesto's desire to live proved stronger as he avoided both attacks. He scampered to his feet and ran straight out of the door. At the end of the round, we decided to stop for today. As things stand, the party is attempting to flee. May, Rock, and Milo are all in a position to get out on their next turn, but Ornifex is currently grappled, and now alone with 2 of the corpse lights. It's a dire situation. I'm very curious to see what our heroes will do next session. Will they risk it all to save Ornifex, or will they trust that she can get herself out and commit to their own escape? After seeing how this corpse light fight is going, my frustrations at Boss Skrawng's failure are totally gone. This just proves that it's not always the big story fights that are going to prove the most difficult. Sometimes your party will wander into a shrine to one of the old gods and be sent running by the echoes of unforeseen evil. I am 100% sure that next session, whether this fight ends in victory or otherwise, our heroes are running back to Atari. And, well, let's just say that they'll be going from a difficult combat encounter to a difficult roleplay encounter, as Milo's abusive father is currently on his way to get his son. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you're looking forward to next session as much as I am. I've been making an effort to improve the visuals of these campaign diaries, so if you enjoyed this increase in production value, then let me know by dropping a like, sharing the video. Any support goes a super long way for a channel this small. I'll see you next time. Farewell, and hopefully your bosses can actually hit something. Bye.